ships ready. Pick a star. Any star. Orbit locked. You just look at that view. You know, my great-grandfather
Greetings, pilot. This is Jiro Sugiyama, head of Paradiso Security. I apologize for coming over this emergency channel, but we are in need of assistance concerning the large ship in orbit, and we value discretion in this matter. If you are willing and able, please see me as soon as possible at the main security office in Paradiso. Over and out.
Ready for touchdown.
For you when you have a moment. Well, hello, sunshine. Yeah, take a look at this. Stay safe, darling.
Your safety is our #1 priority.
Welcome to Paradiso. Jiro Sugiyama at your service. Do you have a security concern, or is there something else I can help you with? Honestly, it's not as exciting as you might think most of the time. More often than not, we're just handling drunk and disorderly conduct. Heck, even pirates leave us alone for the most part. I think it's because some of them actually vacation here. As long as they're not bothering anyone, we've been told not to worry about them. Neither. We're our own private force. The Paradiso group pays top dollar for top-notch security. And I dare say we're some of the best in the business. We have to be out here on the fringes of the settled systems. Ah, yes, of course. I'm glad you came. As you can imagine, we're in a bit of a predicament. Under normal circumstances, we would not enlist outside help in this manner. But this is a matter we can't afford to worry our guests about. As such, we need to handle this discreetly. Failure on your part to do so could have severe consequences. So, before we proceed, can you swear not to discuss this with anyone else unless explicitly directed to do so? Great. I appreciate it. Not too long ago, a strange and enormous ship appeared in Porrima space. It is now locked in orbit around our planet. So far, it doesn't seem to be hostile, but any attempts to communicate with it have been in vain, so we're unsure of the ship's intentions. It bears no discernible markings or allegiances to any manufacturers we're aware of. I'm hoping that doesn't mean we're dealing with some sort of new deep space threat. Not quite. It took some time, but we received a transmission. It was all, pardon the phrasing, it sounded almost alien, like nothing anyone's heard before. Clicks, distorted groans, buzzing, really disturbing sounds. Now, One of our engineers says it could just be some busted comm equipment or incompatible signals, but we're not sure. So far, no one's disembarked from the ship. No landing craft, nothing. We don't have the staff or ships to spare, otherwise we'd dock with it and attempt to board. Can't say for sure. Looks worn, but not cobbled together like a Crimson Fleet junker. Others have been saying it's some new Varun design, a gigantic battleship with hidden armaments preparing for assault, but that doesn't check out either. There's also been talk about non-human sentient life. The comms data we received might support that, but humanity's spread far and wide and no one's ever encountered anything like that. Still, first contact. Could you imagine? It is. Whatever's going on, we need to approach this with care. First, see if you have more luck communicating with them. If not, you may have to try boarding. Whatever you do, it's important to remember to seek diplomacy with who or whatever's on board. As soon as you have any more information, report to Oliver Campbell. He's the CEO of Paradiso. All formal decisions will need to go through him, and he'll have your pay. Good luck.
To be back on board.
This never gets old. Lift off!
Orbital pattern locked in.
Ship is now docked. Perfect. Didn't even smudge the paint.
Do you need something?
I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the sun. I've got air. Stay alert. Weapons at the ready.
Remain calm. There's no reason to suspect whatever it is hostile. You're human. Oh, we're human. From the planet Earth in the Sol system. It's just that we weren't expecting to find life, let alone human life out here. We thought we were the only ones to leave Earth.
Imagine being cut off from humankind for that long. How terribly frightening that would be.
Perhaps we should greet our guests.
Of course. Manners. I'm Captain Diana Brackenridge. This is Security Officer Bomani Reader. And this is Dr. Mabuti da Costa, one of our elders.
A pleasure to meet you.
You've come aboard the Earth colony ship, Constant. Generations ago, we set forth from the planet Earth with the mission of colonizing a new habitable world, in the spirit of our ancestors nearly a millennium ago. I see. As you may have presumed, we're in a bit of a bind. Our ship has finally completed its near 200-year journey from Earth, only to find our new home seemingly colonized by... well, we don't know. Communications haven't been successful, so your arrival is fortuitous. Perhaps you'd be willing to act as a middle person between ourselves and... the others. We're not entirely sure. Our engineers believe it's possible that our technology just isn't compatible with theirs. All we hear when using them to communicate with anyone is a bunch of disturbing noise. It gave me the heebie-jeebies at first. Well, the short answer is, we didn't. It's a generation ship, which is to say that most of us lived long, happy lives on board and passed our mission down to our children. It was never intended that the original crew would make it to our destination. The goal was always the preservation of the human race above all else. Though, it would seem that was perhaps a bit presumptuous. We do. Well, sort of. We saw structures using our surveying equipment. We've also seen the various ships pass us by. Some even seemed to want to communicate, but couldn't. Of course, we had no idea that they were being piloted by other humans. Ah, your question confirms one of our recent theories. It would seem that some form of faster-than-light travel or space-bending technology was invented during our long journey. That would explain why we would find people this far out into space. I guess technology leapfrogged us at some point. Interesting. I can only imagine that our predecessors didn't believe the technology would ever work, and so they made the decision to leave when they did. Oh yes, of course. Where are my manners? Now then, please follow me. There's much to discuss first. We'll speak more on the matter once we reach the bridge. Dr. DaCosta, you may return to your quarters if you wish.
Thank you, Captain.
I will follow you to the bridge, ma'am. For security purposes.
I do not believe we have need to fear our guest, but I'll allow it if you insist. Welcome to the Earth colony ship Constant. In the early 2100s, my ancestor, Rupert Brackenridge, researched a number of scientific scenarios: climate change, asteroid impact, nuclear war, global pandemic, and more. Each scenario showed the likelihood of an extinction-level event to be within 50 years. He fully believed Earth was destined to be rendered uninhabitable. We've always assumed that's what happened. So, he gathered the best and brightest he could find, built the Constant, and set a course for this planet here. We were told that it was the largest, most advanced ship ever constructed on Earth at the time. If you can believe, entire generations have been born, lived, and died on this ship. It really goes to show that there are no limits to human ingenuity and perseverance.
Just stay out of trouble.
The Constant is a peaceful ship. Don't change that.
So, I have to say, with technology this outdated, I'm amazed this vessel is able to navigate at all. It's almost like walking through a museum.
I think I'm coming up on 6 years now. I was only a teenager when my father died, passing command of the ship to me, as is tradition. Because of that, I've had to sort of learn as I go along, instead of taking years of study and apprenticeship under the prior captain. I think some people on the ship resent me for not having the level of experience as my predecessors. But at the same time, without my command, we likely wouldn't have made it here so quickly. A bit frazzled, as you can imagine. People are anxious about discovering that we're not alone, and also worried about what will come to pass. While we hope we can work out a deal with the people on the surface, they seem reluctant to reach out, so there's no telling what will come of that. I do know that we can't afford to stay here in orbit forever. The ship was built to sustain us for many years with backup provisions just in case, but even that will come to an end eventually. Well, as I mentioned, we've been unsuccessful in communications with anyone up until you arrived, though not for lack of trying. But since you're asking, maybe you'd be willing to be a sort of diplomat between us and them as we attempt to resolve our situation. Does that sound agreeable to you? We suspect that our equipment is woefully obsolete compared to whatever you all have now. In all honesty, we never expected to need to communicate with anyone, so our comms aren't particularly robust. That limits our options. We even attempted communicating with lights and sounds, something we saw in an old movie, but I don't believe they picked up on it. If anything, it may have inadvertently alarmed them. Ah, so they have a name. Paradiso. And it sounds promising that they sent you here to speak with us. You see, we intended to settle here, but we assumed that they intend to defend their claim given their presence here. We'd like you to go speak to them on our behalf and help us negotiate a solution, preferably one that favors us. Based on the data our ancestors had when they launched this endeavor, it was determined that this was the perfect planet for us. Even if we had another viable candidate planet, we lack the resources to get there. And as you know, it took us 200 years to get here. Our people have no desire to go back to drifting the stars so their children's children can possibly settle on an inferior planet. Yes, of course. But we need to start from a firm position and state our goal. If need be, we can compromise, work out a mutually beneficial deal or some such, but initially I'd like you to be firm with them and convince them to leave the planet to us. Let me know how they respond, and we'll go from there. We thought about it, but it simply won't do. I need to think about the distant future of our people. Sure, our first settlement may be small, but our predecessors dreamt of our new civilization spreading across the globe. That will be difficult if someone else plans to do the same. While we're not completely close to the idea of sharing, it's much easier if we have complete domain over this world. Now, it makes little sense to give up before you try. Thank you, and good luck.
Pilot! The old constant has been fun. I'm looking forward to flying some fancy new ships when this is all over.
These are exciting times, aren't they? Now that we know what's out there. Hey. I wonder what else is out there.
Wow, I've heard about you, but here you
are. Careful waving that fancy gun.
Suppose I have time for a nap before we leave?
Hey, Dad? Will you read to me tonight before bed?
Read to you, sure. We're up there.
And will you do funny voices for the characters? Like you used to when I was little?
You just try and stop me.
Paradiso is absolutely beautiful. Can you possibly imagine a more tranquil place for a resort?
Have a great day.
Oh, this looks like a lovely place for a stay. Might also be the perfect time to stop for some
Welcome
food
to
or
Paradiso
tranquility.
gift shop in convenience.
Where should we begin?
Feel free to look around, but don't break anything or you've got to buy it. And before you ask, there aren't any discounts, so don't even try to haggle with me. That is... There you go.
Excuse me, you can't just waltz in there. Do you have an appointment? I'm afraid so, yes. Sorry, but that's just how it is with the board. They're generally very busy, so any outside parties need to book appointments in advance. Oh, you're the one they're waiting for then. Do you need anything else from me before you meet with the board? Sure. Have fun in the Shark Tank. And don't worry, even they call it that.
I just feel that we should be focusing on the natural beauty of this planet, not our amenities.
There are millions of planets out there. People can go to any one of them. The resort facilities are precisely what we bring to the table. Heck, it's the only thing we've really got to offer.
I don't want to risk us coming off as just another artificial, shady, trash-filled dump like Neon. That's not who we are. We've got something special here. We should embrace that.
Belom's right.
Thank you.
We don't want to compete with Neon. Bayou's ruthless. He'll do anything he can to eliminate the competition. We don't need that kind of trouble. That being said, I think there's a middle ground. Maybe build up the beachfront at a boardwalk amusement park. I've had this idea to build artificial hot springs, that sort of thing.
Sounds good. I'll look into what that will cost us, and we can circle back around to this. I'm proud to say that revenue is up and costs are down.
We'll make some time for it. Hello? I didn't realize Kiwi was letting people in here.
I am. And you must be the diplomat Jiro told me about.
Welcome, welcome. Normally I'd offer you an all-inclusive stay at our resort before we spoke. But given the circumstances, I'm gonna cut to the chase. We've got our friends, the aliens, up there, causing all sorts of problems for our resort. You like that? The marketing team came up with it. The thought is, if we can't get rid of them, it might actually attract more tourism. Come see the aliens! We run a premier resort getaway here. We can't have our guests concocting stories about some budgy old ship hanging around up there. As it is, we've had to reroute our luxury liners around the other side of the planet on entry so no one sees it. It's bad for business. We need to nip this in the bud and take care of it before the tourists catch on and cause a scene.
We're being direct then. Good on you. So, what do you know about this dodgy ship I'm hearing all about?
Well, that's something. Shame we can't just tell them kindly to bugger off. Something tells me that's not going to work. Now, tell me, what are we going to do about it? Give me some proposals, people. I need something to work with here.
We could offer to resettle them here. There's more than enough space.
They could stay here, temporarily, but it'll cost them. Quite a bit, too. They'd need to work off all their debts before being allowed to leave.
Maybe not. What if we help them get out of here? Outfit their ship with a grav drive so they can find a new home. We could even lend our engineers to help and give their captain an updated star map. What do you think?
Sounds costly. We can't absorb that cost, and it's unlikely they even have compatible currency, let alone enough for the transaction. Someone else would have to foot the bill.
Oh, I swear this would be a lot easier if they ceased to exist entirely. Anyway, Seema's got the right idea. Either works for me. Just tell me what you want to do. We own this planet, they don't. Here at Paradiso, we don't like leaving things to chance. Who knows what these people will do with their land? Imagine the landscaping disasters they might come up with, and how that might mar the satellite imagery of the planet in our brochures. No, much better to assimilate them into our culture if they come here to live, rather than leave it to chance. Well, absurd or not, that's our official stance. I make the decisions that are best for our entire group. You don't. Oh, I didn't say that specifically. This would be a mutual contract for room and board in exchange for services rendered. Of course, there's no telling how long this arrangement will last, given the substantial costs we'd need to take on in order to accommodate them here, including their continued room and board. But this may save the resort on operating costs in the long term, as we'd be able to let go of some of our current paid staff. I'm not suggesting anything, other than it would make our lives so much easier if that ship ceased existing. Make of that what you will. And which proposal will you be taking to the good captain? I assume there's a captain? They'd be hard-pressed to defend their claim in any courts. Our charter goes back years. It was registered with both the UC and Free Star Collective, per the Centaurus Proclamation. We may be outside the settled systems, but that charter's official as can be. I'm sorry, but you're going to need to be the one to break the news to them that they need to make a compromise or leave. Right. Assuming they agree to the terms, I've got a list of resources you'll need to gather and bring back so we can support the new arrivals. We'll need to improve our lodging and infrastructure, plus account for future projects to support an increased population. Don't care how you procure them, just make sure to bring them here with you before we can consider this a done deal.
Oh, how can we treat these people this way? They survived in space this long, only to end up as indentured servants. Oh, it's terrible.
Right. On behalf of the Paradiso group, we appreciate your help.
Excuse me, you can't just waltz in there. Do you have an appointment? Oh, you're the one there. Sure.
It may be paradise, but that doesn't mean we don't run into trouble from time to time.
I just feel that we should be
If it's not
focusing on the
important, bring it
natural
up with
beauty
Kiwi.
of this planet.
I am.
Not our amenities.
But given this circumstance, you like that? We're being direct. Well, that. Shame we can't just tell them. Now, tell me.
They could stay.
Maybe. We could even...
Sounds costly. Someone else would have...
Oh, I swear this... We operate outside of the Free Stars only, you see, partially because we don't want anyone else meddling in our affairs. And we'd rather not draw attention to it. As I've mentioned, it could be bad for business. We'd much rather settle this independently. It's not our responsibility to bear the brunt of that cost. We're being more than generous by offering the use of our engineering team to help install it. A custom grav drive can't come cheap, and I assume they have neither the monetary means nor the connections to get a hold of that kind of technology. That leaves the only other party in this negotiation. You. And which proposal will you be taking to the good captain? I assume there's a captain? Ah, good on you. You want to see a man named Benny St. James over at Hope Tech. He's the best in the business. If anyone can retrofit a 200-year-old ship with a modern grav drive, it'd be him. We'll coordinate our engineering team with his when you return, though you may have to help the Constance engineers prepare for it on their end. Good luck.
I know this was a difficult decision, but if it's any consolation, I think you've made the right choice. Compared to the destruction of their vessel and relegating them to a life of servitude, I'd say this is the best chance they've got.
Right. On behalf of the Paradiso group, we appreciate your help.
There are millions of planets out there. People can go to any one of them. The resort facility.
Oh, it's nice to finally be off our ship.
I don't want to hear any complaints.
Keep an eye on your valuables.
Excuse me.
Oh, Hope Tech needs brave new innovations. We're so much more than space freight. Sure, that sounds like me. What can I do for you? I'm a little busy, but I think I could spare some time. Oh, you should have just said that. Of course I can help you. Oliver sent a courier ahead of you. I did some research on ships from that era, and I have a decent idea what we're dealing with. So grav drives didn't really take off until after the ship was built. But I've got access to an ancient grav drive that looks like it could be compatible. With some minor adjustments. It's in good shape too. Parts not cheap though. Neither is the labor. Just pay the combined cost of parts and labor and it's yours. It's a pretty big ask, given how rare these old grav drives are. Perhaps not, but I don't want to just settle for an offer far below its value. This part is incredibly difficult to come by. Maybe it is selfish of me to demand such a price. Tell you what, Sounds like this is for a good cause. While I can't give you the pod for free, I won't charge you for the work. You're darn right it is. I'll get to work on it right away. I recommend you go back to the ship and ask the captain to prepare for its retrofit. Standard stuff. I'm sure they have an engineer on board to help. We'll send the part along when it's ready and install it with the help of Oliver's people. Pleasure working with you.
We'd be dust except for the factory. Off-worlders.
Crew accounted for. We're ready to depart.
You're looking splendid today.
Where to begin? That temple? The hell was that? I've been from one end of the settle systems to the other more times than I could count. But I've never, and I mean never, encountered something like that. I mean, who built it? Why? So many questions. That's a good word for it. And what you can do? I am not a scientist, not in the least. But that ability, power, is just plain scientifically impossible. And there you have it. Forget about me, how are you? I mean, whatever happened, it could have deep... And even if everything's perfect. Smart, Stink. The other constellation, assuming they even believe. I hope Cora doesn't get too much underfoot. You know me.
Okay, Sam. I'm...
Here. This... Well, I see your parents. I spotted it. Hey, I'm gonna pick things up. I'll keep my eyes peeled. You know, the way you handle things. I wouldn't say no to it. Goodbye.
can't tell you how many times I've had to make do with inelegant solutions to complex technical problems. I was hoping to talk to our visitor from outer space, and here you are! Welcome, welcome! I have a million burning questions, but I won't overwhelm you. There will be plenty of time for that later. Please, indulge me just a couple. How did you do it? Did humanity finally discover faster than light travel and eclipse our poor old ship? I knew it. It's incredible! I read about this technology in our archives from Earth, but it was only theoretical back then. Amazing! I'll have to learn more. Oh, I've got so many questions, but I'm being rude. I haven't even given you my name. Chief Engineer Kazemi, but you can call me Amin. And, I might add, I'm one of the reasons we're still floating out here today. Indeed. Thank you for being so kind and indulging me. You must understand how thrilling this news is for someone like me. Someone who suspected this encounter was, in fact, possible. Ah, great question. I do not know for sure, but I can venture a guess. All of the reading I've done on the matter suggests that at the time, there was uncertainty that the technology would ever work, or if it did, that it would work at the scale we needed. So, I trust they made the decision to strike out when they did, fully believing it was the only way. Some may say I'm a master of keeping things together with nothing but duct tape and bubblegum. Well, if we had any gum left. Pretty sure that ran out 100 years ago. When I'm not dealing with catastrophic engine failures, I manage the other engineers. We maintain all the machinery, computers, you name it. We keep the life support on, and the ship flying. What grab drive? Just joking with you. The Paradiso engineers filled me in. Okay, let's see what we need to do. All right. This will be fun. And hopefully there will be no explosions in the process. I have just received word that the drive is here. Ready to get to work? But yes, of course I need your help. My team needs to stay on top of their daily maintenance, and I need to make my own preparations for this gravity drive you brought us. Your help is going to be vital to this procedure. And have no worries, it'll be easy. I'll guide you through the process. Great, great, great! There are 3 preparations I need you to help me make while I set things up on my end. First thing I need you to do is reroute the power from the port turbo pump to the auxiliary cryogenic radiator. Then, turn the plasma runoff inhibitor function to 5%. Last, you'll need to decouple the magnetic flange pipe enclosures from the auxiliary module assembly. Got it? Let's hop to it!
I wonder what it's like out there. They're a little community.
Wow. Hi.
Looks like everything is good to go on both your end and mine. Can you go inform the captain while they're finishing the information? Thanks.
Just because our equipment's old doesn't mean it won't work to take down troublemakers. We got strict rules around here.
This whole place belongs in a museum.
Before you arrived? Now that you're here, I can finally give my crew a chance at a new life. Well, well, it would appear we have the means to go nearly anywhere now, thanks to you. The engineers even upgraded our communications equipment so we can speak with passing ships. Turns out it was a pretty easy fix. Thank you again for all you've done. Without you, we'd most likely be stuck. But you went above and beyond. I'll make sure people tell tales of your generosity for as long as our society lives. I don't know if we can ever fully repay you. Thank you again. Oh? Set a course then. We'll go and take a look. Perhaps this will be the one.